I wonder what does the house that this piece of furniture came from looks like. Anyhow, there was a lot of very bright yellow paint on this chest of drawers and a very generous coat of primer underneath that the first stripper I tried didn't even touch.
A few moments later.
So I tried a second one and it seemed like it kind of worked, but not very effectively. Well, at least it looks like someone did a proper job for a change and used a lot of primer in case someone ever wanted to remove the paint. Since the stripper wasn't gonna do it, I decided to just scrape it off. The decorative bits on the front, I didn't like them and one of them was missing anyway, so I decided to remove them. The good news, whoever painted this yellow, at least they didn't paint the inside of it. This is brand new blade, by the way. It's just incredibly difficult to scrape it off. I don't know if you can see this, but I sanded through the veneer kind of on purpose, and there is actually paint stuck in the plywood underneath. That's how much paint there is. So yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get the paint out of this, so I've got a different idea.
"2,000 years later."
After a lot of sanding, I took off the top because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to remove the paint from underneath. I'm going to reattach this before I do anything else. If you enjoyed my last video, I think you're gonna like this one because again I was able to be creative and just go with the flow and do what I felt was right for this chest of drawers. Whoever painted this yellow, they painted over a solid piece of oak that's actually quite good looking, and just wait to see what happens with the drawers. There was quite a lot of damage to the edge of this top, so I just decided to make a brand new one. And there was quite a lot of overhang, so I had a lot of room to play with. I also changed the shape of the edge just to make it a bit more modern because I didn't like the old one. And we've got a brand new beautiful edge. You didn't think I was done scraping and sanding, did you? I decided that trying heat gun would be probably the best way to go, so that's what I did. As you can see, that took forever, but fortunately Mando was there for emotional support. And for some snacks, obviously. That's enough. After a cut break, I cleaned up the bottom and the inside of this chest of drawers and removed the sliders, though I don't know why I did it because I cut off the legs. And if this doesn't tell you that I don't really have a plan when I'm working, I don't know what does. Like I said, I wanted to give this a more modern look and those legs were just not working for me.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
So that was one of the dumbest things I've ever done. I just measured from the wrong point and I cut the back legs too short. I could reattach them, but I don't really feel like doing it, so I think I'm just gonna do something completely different. So I just cut them off. There are two problems with this decorative thing. First of all, it doesn't really go with my idea. And second, I don't feel like cleaning the paint. So this new decorative groove will be actually a part of an overall design and will correspond to the other bits that I will make a bit later. As always, I cleaned the back, I sanded it, and I engraved my logo on it. I've had lots of questions about this laser. This is one of the early versions of Laser Packer, and you can even buy it on Amazon. This is fine steel wool and this is vinegar, and I'm just going to make this solution that will be used as stain. Looks like this is oak veneer over solid oak wood, which is a bit annoying, but I'm just gonna take this off. I don't know if this is just me, but this is the original oak veneer that someone put over the solid oak that's underneath, which looks much better than the veneer. Can someone explain this to me? Because it makes no sense. I do get that someone might prefer the cortisone cut over the plain cut, but if you're gonna put veneer over wood, what's the point of using oak? If you're gonna cover it, you might as well just use pine because it's much cheaper. I think we know the answer why there was veneer on top of these drawer fronts. As you can see, there's pretty much every single type of cut you can think of, including some spalted oak, which is unusual but very beautiful. I guess they just ran out of nice timber. I'll let you have a closer look. So this one is really pretty. If it wasn't just for this little piece, and obviously some imperfections, which I don't actually mind because it just gives it some interest and variation. So I've been thinking, and I really like this spalted oak piece, but I'm not too crazy about this. I think I've got a plan. I'm not gonna be able to get all the paint out because there's just a lot of it, but at least a more visible bits. To fix this, I'm just using a little bit of epoxy putty and I'm mixing it with pigment. These are very small imperfections, so I think this is the most reasonable thing to do. Hope you're enjoying this video. As always, thank you to everyone for watching, liking and commenting. That means a lot, and a special shout out to the channel members. You guys are the best. For everything else you might be interested in, there are links in the description of this video. By the way, the stuff that I'm trying to pack in that little crack is called plastic wood. This is veneer that's got adhesive on the back, and you just need to heat it up to melt it and apply it. Because the seam between these two pieces of veneer wasn't perfect, I just put some glue in and then just sanded it over, and Bob's your uncle. And as you can see, this works very well on small gaps. This is a pretty tricky fit, but it looks like I got it. And I want it to be tight so it doesn't come out. A few moments later, looks like I got it just right. So now that I know the exact depth, I'm just going to add 1 mil on my track saw, and I think this should be good. By the way, I didn't really explain what I'm doing, but I'm basically just bedazzling this chest of drawers with some brass. Because there is never enough brass. And Bob's your uncle. Are you guys ready for some magic? Remember the steel wool and vinegar? It's been just over a day and it's ready. The reason this works is because there are tannins in oak that react with iron from this solution, and oak is one of those woods that has a lot of tannins, so this works very well on oak. This is completely natural, and this will get a bit darker. I'll just give it some time. I've got an idea for the hardware, and this is not gonna work.
A few moments later.
Check out the color. It's been about, I don't know, 15 minutes. It's almost black. Nope, that's not gonna work. I just need to freehand it, which sucks. All right, here comes nothing. So now I'm going to use this bit that will follow the edge of this hole and just remove the middle, if it makes sense. So I'm done drilling and routing out these holes, and I just need to make them a bit more attractive. And this is part of the design for the handles that I'm making from scratch, because why not? Fortunately, it looks like someone drilled the holes perfectly in the center, because I didn't check. By the way, this super awesome measuring tape that I've been using in my video, this is from Milisi. I love gadgets, so this is absolutely amazing. The display is super bright, it's all LED and it's very high contrast, so you can easily see what you're doing. It remembers your measurements, so you don't need to. You can simply save it by clicking this button. Probably my favorite feature, if you press this button, you've got a laser level. And you can put this on a tripod because it's got a mount for the tripod. And you can just set it, and if I need to put some hardware on the drawers, for example, I don't need to measure it, I can just stick it on the tripod and I know exactly where to put it. Let's say I want to measure the distance from here to the garage door, and there's stuff in the way and I can't really measure it with the tape. I can just point at the door, and that's how simple it is. Let's say you don't have fancy tools and you want to draw a line at an angle. It will self-calibrate and it's ready. You can do volume measurement or you can do area measurement, and this one is actually super useful. You've got one measurement, you save it, and you've got the other measurement, and this is the area. I'm first to admit that math is hard, so if you need to buy carpet for your floor or paint to paint the walls, this will just tell you how much of the paint or the carpet you need. If you need to measure something on the inside, I can just set it like this, press the button and I know exactly the measurement. I've only had it for a few days and I've been playing with it. I think it's amazing. I genuinely think that this is like one of the coolest gadgets I've seen. And there are just so many things you can do with this because it will do the volumes, the areas, and all the other things for me. So I don't need to worry about it. It just makes your life easier. And ultimately, that's what a good tool should do. I'll have a link in the description if you want to check this out. And let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm not too crazy about this edge. I think I'm gonna try this one. Time for the big boy. So this is what it's looking like right now. And I like it, but I think this looks ugly, so I'm gonna get rid of it. And that's 43 pounds right there. Because you've already seen me do this, let's just skip to the end. This is just the seam between these two pieces and it's very difficult to get it perfect. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of wood filler and that should do the trick. I don't want any wood filler in the grain, so that's why I put the tape around it, just to make it as clean as I can. And because I used wood glue and sawdust before, I just wanted to change it up for you. I'll let this dry for a bit and then I'll just sand it lightly. This is the piece that goes on the top, and I don't like this decorative detail. It's the same that was on the bottom, and I'm going to change it just like I did on the other piece. This is very small, so it's very difficult to clamp it because the clamps will be in the way of the router. Now that I'm doing the voiceover, it sounds like there is a lot that I don't like about this piece. Which I guess is true. I didn't like it. And definitely the canary yellow is one of those things. I mean, come on. I understand gray and white and blue and whatever, but yellow, like bright yellow. I've also cut just a tiny bit on the ends just to make them look nice and clean. And that's the new piece. This is pretty cool because this isn't stain. It's literally the tannins in the wood that make it change color based on how much there is in the wood, and each wood species is different. It's completely not up to me how dark this will get. It's only based on the tannin content in oak, which actually happens to have a lot. I guess this wouldn't be a flipping drawers video if I didn't do some sort of two-tone look. So there it is. But to be fair, the only reason I'm doing this is so the thing that's gonna be in front of this darker area will stand out a bit more. I'm also going to darken this bit, otherwise I think it will be quite contrasting against the stretchers, so I think you'll be able to see it otherwise. And I'm a professional. So this is the thing I was just talking about. I'm basically making handles from these brass rods, which, by the way, I paid £70 for 3 of them. And because it's incredibly difficult to drill a straight hole in a rod, I'm making this contraption to just hold them in place. This is not going anywhere. And yes, I set the depth so I wouldn't drill straight through the rod. And as you can imagine, the holes alone would not allow me to attach it in any meaningful way, so I had to tap them. And if you don't know what this means, you're basically making a thread on the inside of the hole, or you can make it on the outside of the rod if that's what you want. And it's pretty much as simple as it looks. You just need to make sure you've got the right size hole for the right tapping thingy. I wasn't going to do any legs for this chest of drawers, but then I decided that it would be nice to have metal legs that would go nicely with these brass handles. So I had these legs in my drawer and I just gave them a light sanding, cleaned them up and spray painted them to match, or mostly match, the handles. And once they dried, I sprayed them with satin lacquer. And because these rods, they had just roughly cut straight ends and they didn't look great, so I wanted to round them a little bit, and that's how I did it. And obviously these rods had a lot of patina because they're brass, so this is how I polished them. I do want the brush look, so I'm going to do 240 and probably this is the last one. To make it easy for myself, I just cut these screws so I can use them to mark exactly where I need to drill the holes, because I want this to be perfect, because I'm a professional. We're gonna make the holes slightly larger than the screws to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. I don't have wax that's exactly this color, but this will also look a bit different. Once I put the finish on it, I'm just going to use it to plug this hole from the original screw, because it looks a bit odd. By the way, this is from Parkside and it was super cheap. I also cut new drawer stoppers because the old ones didn't look great. Man, the weather's been so nice in the UK lately. I think I just need to get as many projects done as I can because the sprays and finishes dry so quickly. It's just beautiful. And as you can see, there was nothing to attach the legs to, so I had to improvise, and this is what I did. And now I'm just gonna spray this whole thing with a lot of gloss lacquer. And just look at this beautiful grain. I don't understand how someone could cover this with veneer, because it just looked kind of artificially fake, because it was just all too uniform, and this is just so much more natural, and I don't know, I like it. I don't know about you, but I think this looks better than the yellow paint. I might regret this, but I think there's a bit too much going on, and once I put the brass handles on, it's just gonna be too busy, so I'll try a tiny amount of teak, which is obviously what I was planning on the whole time. I'm doing very light coats from quite a far distance. I don't want to change the color too much, but I want to blend things like this in a bit more. I just feel like this stands out a bit too much. I think this will just bring everything together, and it will actually make the brass handles pop a bit more because it will be darker, if it makes sense. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I wanted. You can clearly see the difference now. It's a bit darker and just more uniform, I think. Do let me know in the comments if you agree. I think that's as dark as I want to go. At this point I'm almost done with the video, and I wanted to ask you guys if you prefer typical restoration videos or things like this, or my previous video where I try to upgrade or transform a piece of furniture, because that's kind of my thing, if I'm honest. I also sprayed a little bit of lacquer toner on the drawer stoppers just so they don't stand out as much. I need to do a tiny bit of color correction on this line, and I'm just going to use the Mohawk fine brush tip markers. None of them is a perfect match, but this one is pretty close. I can live with that. Before I show you the final results, just wanted to say thank you to Milici for sponsoring this video, and check out the link in the description with my discount code for 15% off. And to make it super easy in case someone wants to take them off, I'm using these wing nuts so you can actually unscrew them with your fingers and you don't need any tools. I just need to install these pieces of brass and Bob's your uncle. Enjoy the beauty shots and see you in the next video.